Okay, so this one is a third video on 6.1 of Savitch book for C++. So we're talking about the stream variables. And remember what I said earlier on the other video, that when you have a class, you cannot use the class. I cannot get the blueprint of a house or imagining how my house is going to be and live in it. I have to materialize it. I have to create an object for it to use. So when we have a class, we have to create objects to use. Of course, there is different techniques to do it. You will learn more about it if we get to chapter 10 or your future class. But here we're going to do it in a simple way. So we're going to create a we're going to declare a variable. Basically, we're going to create an object of a class, and then we can use it. Remember, I cannot use the class till I create an object for it. And we have to connect it to a file. So we have to do it, otherwise it's not going to work. So you can think about the variable of how I can get into, let's say in my example, as into the freeway. How do I get to freeway 5? Do I go from this entrance or another entrance? How do I do it? So we want to think about that. So you can think about it as some way to connect to this object that we have. So we can change the value of it, just like any variable that we're going to do. So again, we are going to be using objects to do that. And then we can change the value for it. So remember what we talked about here. I have to create an object of these classes to be able to use it. And when we want to change anything for the data inside of it, I have to use the functions that's available. Eventually, you're going to be writing them. But in this chapter, we just want to know about using them. So if I want to use, if I want to paint my car, or if I want to paint my house, I have to use this function. I'm not going to be able to use equal sign or anything like that. I have to use the functions. So first, we have to declare the variable. And what we're talking about for the files right now is we are using this F stream, that's file stream. We are still using the using namespace std standard. And then so this is the way we're going to declare a string value. So when we talk about IF stream, that's input file stream. That's a class. I cannot use that directly. I'm going to create an object of that. I can call it anything I want. So your book is using in a stream or in file or things like that. But you can call it anything you want. It has to have a good, meaningful name. Don't call it ABC, XYZ. It's not going to be easy to follow. So this is the name that we're going to be creating. And in this format, it is actually creating an object of this class. When you create an object of the class, all the functions that's available in the class now is going to be available in the object, that we can use them. So we don't have to write the functions anymore. It's already there. I'm going to just use them. So for the output file, it's almost identical to this one. We are going to be using the same pound include for the file, and then we're going to declare our well, this should say output file, not input file. So let me fix that. That's supposed to be output file. Not a very good way of doing it. So maybe I cancel this and I go to change it to output file. See what happens when I copy and paste stuff. All right, so go back to the slide and change it. So we are declaring an output file stream variable. Again, this is a class. The class is OF stream. That's output file stream. So remember, the other one was input file stream. This is output file stream. Both of them are part of F stream in the library F stream, but they are separate. This class and IF stream are separate. And again, you can call it anything you want. Your book is switching between out stream and out file, but you can call it anything you want. So basically, we are creating an object of this class when we're doing it this way. It's automatically happen. If we want to do it manually, we can spend some time later on. I don't want to clutter your thinking right now, just the concept so we can use it. The reason I'm saying it, OF stream, you cannot use it. It's just a class. Whatever variable you call it over here, this is the one you can use. So you can use the objects, but you cannot use classes. Keep that in mind moving forward. So if I create that one, I have to connect it to a file. Somewhere it has to be connected. Otherwise, I cannot do it. So how do I connect it? I have to call. So first thing, if I have an object, I'm going to be using a dot operator to access the functions available in the class for that object. Remember, we created an object. That object has the blueprint of the class that we had, and it has some functions in it. So one of the functions available for in a stream is called open. Open function needs one parameter. So it needs one parameter. The parameter has to be a type string. Double quote is for the type string. And then we are going to put the file name here. File names usually have an extension. Depending on your operating system, this extension may or may not have any meaning. So, for example, if you use .txt, which is a text, you open it in Microsoft, you can open it with Notepad or you can open it with Word. So it has some meaning in there. But if you use the native Linux that Mac is using, the extension doesn't have any meaning. You can have even more than one extension. You can say .txt, something else. So the key over here is you have to match this file name with what you have in your computer. And we're going to go through that. So now, what do we have? Now we have this input stream that we call it in a stream object that's connected to this file. Now, whatever we do with this is going to happen to this file. And remember, we open it for input. So we're going to be reading from this file. So we are using a dot operator to access the class functions in our object. So we're going to create object. We're going to use dot operator to access the functions available. All right, I'm going to stop here. So you can think about these questions, put the video on pause, think about it. The best ideal situation is get a piece of paper and a pen, write it down, go back and check your answers, kind of if I talk about things and you don't reflect on it, it might not stay with you, but go over it, you get stuck, go back, figure it out. And to me, that would be the best way of learning these mini lectures.